Hello, my name is Perez Tapanes, and I'm the oldest daughter to Noe and Alita Perez, and the oldest sister to Belinda and Amanda. And so the first story I'm going to share with you is the earthquake in Guatemala. It was November 4th, 1976.
Start again. February 4th.
Oh, February 4th.
Say again.
February 4th, 1976 was this huge earthquake in Guatemala. It was 7.1 and it lasted for 1 minute. And 25,000 people died and whole villages disappeared. It was terrible. And my dad and I were down in Guatemala at the time. My dad was sleeping in the men's dormitory. I was sleeping in the girls' dormitory. And I was on the bottom bunk, I believe. And it just started shaking like crazy. And I usually am a heavy sleeper, but it was shaking so hard. I woke up, and by the time I woke up, the missionary on the top bunk was in the process of getting off and running out. And the glass was shaking so hard that I kind of wanted to see if it was going to break. So I stayed in bed and covered up with the blankets just under my eyes because I wanted to see if the glass was going to shatter, and it never did. I was so disappointed. I was 15 at the time, 14. I was 14 at the time, and so then everybody started yelling, "Are you okay, so and so? Are you okay, so and so? Are you okay?" And then we all decided to get out of the building. So I grabbed a blanket, walked out, but I walked out barefooted. Because I didn't have any slippers and I didn't think to put shoes on. And there was water on the floor in the kitchen, but somebody had already swept up all the glass. So thank goodness I didn't get cut. Then we all went outside and we met outside and we got to talking about what had happened. And I walked over to the men's dormitory to see my dad, and he was there. He was fine. That's all I wanted to know. And we ended up making a makeshift tent that night out in the yard, and we all slept outside because the tremors kept coming and they were scary, and it seemed like they were going to finish off whatever didn't get knocked down. So we decided to sleep in tents in the yard. And then the next day we decided to go to another little town that was nearby that we could walk to see how we could help. And there was a lot of dead bodies in the streets, and they just kept bringing truckloads full of dead bodies and laying them on the street. And people were trying to come and identify their bodies of their loved ones. It was really sad. It was a heavy moment. The Red Cross was there all set up, trying to help people, and we were trying to witness to people, and pray for people and see how we could help. And so that was a big day. That was a rough day. I was 14, but I was young and immature and didn't realize the dangers of everything. It was all kind of exciting, but sad to see the dead bodies. That was a little scary.
So what do you remember about El Salvador?
El Salvador. I have a lot of good memories and a lot of scary memories. The good memories are the friends that we had from our youth group: Aida, Ricardo, Carlos, Salvador, and William. And we used to have sleepovers with our friends. And one time we TP'd the boys' house that lived down the street from us, Ricardo, Carlos, and Salvador's house. And they didn't know what that was. They didn't know what TPing a house was. So they thought they were being targeted by terrorists for something horrible. And they came over to our house. The mom was crying and terrified. And her sons were angry because they didn't know what was going on. And then we had to confess that it was us that TP'd their house. And the mother just laughed. And she was so relieved that they were not being threatened, that their lives were not being threatened, that she just laughed about it. And the sons were angry at us for scaring the mom so much. We had no idea that she was going to react that way. But
So who were the ones that TP'd the house?
It was you and me, Belinda, Aida, and myself, three of us.
Mm-hmm.
We did it. It was funny at the time. There was a lot of scary moments in El Salvador because there was a civil war going on at the time, and terrorists and military were constantly at war with each other and doing things, attacking the, they called the terrorists, they called them terrorists, and they would attack the electric company, and then we'd be out of electricity for a while. They'd attack the water company, then we'd be out of water for a while. They'd blow up buses. They would, you just never know. They'd attack certain buildings. They would threaten sometimes to kidnap the rich people that they thought were rich, that they could get money from to sponsor their activities. And scary moments, hearing gunshots and bombs going off. That part was scary. But being teenagers and wanting to live and still have fun and be active, we still managed to get away with our friends and go to the mall and do things and go to the beach or go to a lake, with the family and do things, because we still needed to continue to try and be young people, active young people, full of energy, wanting to go out and do things and not just be stuck at home all the time. That was one of the bad memories I have, is being stuck at home all the time, because we were homeschooled and we had church in our home, and so we never got out of the house. We weren't allowed out of the house at all without permission because of the dangers of the Civil War. And so my parents, trying to be protective and take care, would keep us in the house all the time, which felt like we were in jail. And I found that depressing. So there was a period where I struggled with depression a little bit as a teenager because of that. Mm-hmm. So my parents would let me go to Guatemala to missionary school over there and stay with missionary friends and go to school for maybe three months at a time, so I could have somewhat of a normal life, going to a regular high school with other English-speaking friends, which I used to love those times. I'd miss my family, but I would just love those times. I needed that kind of social interaction because I'm a very relational person, and I needed to have interaction like that with people every day. So that was good. My parents tried their hardest to try and help. So I got to do that a couple times in the 3 years. I think we were there for 3 years. But in all that craziness, my dad was still able to build a church, and that church is still there today. We were there in 76 or 77 to 79, and that's when we built the church. We used to go witnessing every day, door to door, and a church was built in spite of everything, all the political chaos, and the church is still there today, which I am so pleased and happy to hear about that. And we're in touch with the young lady that used to be our maid down there, and she speaks of how we helped change her life, and that is so powerful to know that we made a difference and that her life has been changed and how much it's changed. And she and her husband are very active in their church and ministry, and that's a beautiful thing to see. And so in spite of the difficulty, and the hard times, there was good times and beautiful things, spiritual, beautiful things that were born out of that ministry in El Salvador, San Salvador, El Salvador.